From the News Channel 5 network, this is SportsLine.
Thanks for being with us tonight here on SportsLine on News Channel 5+. In for Steve Lehman, I'm Jonathan Hutton, and we are previewing a state rivalry throughout the next hour. Tennessee and Vanderbilt week as the two teams play after Vanderbilt's won 2 of the last 3 matchups. The Vols trying to go into the season after winning 5 straight games, trying to increase their possibilities of possibly playing in Orlando this postseason for the Outback Bowl. We start with Butch Jones previewing the matchup against Derek Mason's Commodores.
Good afternoon. Good to see everyone. Big day, obviously, Saturday for a number of reasons, but first of all, we get to recognize 19 seniors in our football family, some that have been here longer than others, but they've meant so much to our program. They've been through a lot together, so it's very fitting that we would honor them in moving forward and as we continue to move the football program forward. Great challenge this week with Vanderbilt. As good of a defensive football team as we faced, explosive, can run offensively. It all starts with Ralph Webb. I think he's one of the best running backs in our conference. Very explosive, can hit the home run, and they're doing some good things and good special teams, but a good football team. And it's going to be a great challenge again. A lot on the line, and it all happens in our week of preparation as we continue to move forward. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
Jimmy, right here in the front. Steve and Seth.
Butch, in regard to players not wearing long sleeves during a game, is that something that you've always done as a coach? Is it something that you saw another coach do and you thought that was a good idea? What was the origin of that?
It's something we've kind of believed in everywhere we've been, and it's part of us, being mentally tough and embracing the elements, and our players fed off it, and our players did an incredible job with that. They took great pride in it, and it's a staple of who we are. It's a pride of who we are. It's a mental toughness thing. Now, we don't go to the extremes. We take every precautionary measure on the sideline, and I thought our equipment staff and everyone with our game day operations of being on the road did a phenomenal job of making sure our players were warm and making sure our players needed everything that it took to win the football game. Even bringing in some ski masks with the doctors on game day from Knoxville. Just all those little things add up, and that's the quality of people that we have here, and it's all about our players. But it's just a mindset, it's a program philosophy, and it's a toughness, and I know our players believe in it.
Steve in the front, then Seth and Paul.
I know y'all face maybe some more productive offenses earlier in the season than you have in the second half of the season, but obviously your defensive numbers have gotten a lot better. What are you seeing from your defense that's kind of caused the improvement other than just the product of the schedule?
Well, when you talk about schedule, I think of staying on schedule in terms of we're able to generate more second and long, third and long situations, and any time you can create third and long situations, it becomes advantageous for you. So I think staying ahead of the sticks, improving our tackling, swarming to the football, all those things, the small details. It's always the little things that nobody sees that adds up to the big things that everyone sees. And so it's those small details of, getting, 6, 7, 8 hats to the football. It's, winning your one-on-one matchups in the line of scrimmage. I think, our defensive line continues to improve and get better. I think Darren Kirkland continues to improve with the volume of repetitions that he's gaining. So I think there's a lot that goes into it, but it's playing team-style defense. And we're not making very many mental errors right now. So I think it's a byproduct of a lot of little things that our players are doing well right now.
Seth from the back, then Paul, Patrick, and Michael Spencer.
Vanderbilt's defense is ranked 5th nationally in red zone defense. Against Missouri, the team did a good job moving the ball between the 20s, struggled a little bit in the red zone to score touchdowns. What is it that you see on film for Vanderbilt that makes them so good in the red zone, and what does this offense need to do to improve, scoring
Sure.
touchdowns in the red zone as opposed to field goals?
Yep. Well, I think first of all, part of Vanderbilt being so successful in the red zone is they're a very difficult defense to move the ball methodically down the field. Eventually they're so good, they're going to have a negative yardage football play. They're going to generate a disruption. They're going to generate something. So I think the longer the drive goes, the better they become. So it's really hard to score on them. They have very, very good team speed. They play with great effort. They have a tenacity about themselves, a relentlessness, and they're very, very physical. We found that out firsthand last year. So it's going to be critical for us that when we do get the ball in the red zone, we have to come away with 7 points. I believe they made Texas A&M kick 6 field goals Saturday night. For us, it comes down to execution, whether it's running the right routes, the depths, getting more yardage when we run the football. It just comes down to overall execution. And what happens in the red zone is your landmarks shrink. The game becomes condensed. The field becomes condensed. Your throwing windows become tighter. Everything shrinks. So you have to be that much more perfect in your execution and in your technique. Well, I think, first of all, just our overall growth of our football team. We've continued to improve, and that's what we talk about is, having constant, never-ending improvement in our football program and our football team, and not peaking and then dropping down, just continuing to improve and get better. So I think just the overall growth in terms of maturation, fundamentals, the fine details, them really understanding complementary football. And when you go into a game, you have a game plan, you have a formula to win, and everything is about matchups. One team you may match up better with than other teams. That's why, each game is different. It's a 1 week season. It's a 1 game season just because football is a game of matchups. So, that's why we don't look at records or rivalries or all that. We look at matchups, and you match up better against some teams than others. And so you have to be able to have a plan. You have to be able to have a formula to execute the game plan to win the game. And, in the SEC, there's very few uncontested wins. And that's what makes this league very, very special. Any win is a great win. The moment you stop enjoying wins, you need to get out of this profession because they're hard to come by, and you work so hard at it. Our players work so hard at it. But again, there's very few uncontested wins, and that's why it's a week-to-week season. But I just think them understanding that, having a consistency approach every day, having very good practices and holding each other accountable, and we're executing now in some areas as well. And so I just think an overall growth throughout the course of the year.
Patrick, Michael Spencer, Dustin.
OL Coleman Thomas was named the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Just where have you seen him improve over the course of the season? How valuable has he been at that center position?
Coleman continues to get better and better and better. The use of his hands, there's been times where his base was widening and he was on the ground too much, and he's really tried to work hard on narrowing his base. And again, it goes back to the evolution of the team, just the fundamentals, the fine details. He works his craft every day in that want to improve, and I think our older players have done a very good job of mentoring him and holding him accountable for the standard and the expectation as well. But Coleman has really taken great pride in his performance in his week of preparation.
Michael in the back corner.
Coach, having won 4 straight games, does that make it easier to go to work and to go to practice? And does it make it easier to continue to keep building?
Well, anytime you win, it makes it better. So one coach told me, when you win, the food is hotter, the drinks are colder, and everything's better. But it's also keeping things in perspective, is continuing to grow and elevate our football team and our football program, and not letting anything be swept under the rug. I think sometimes when you win, you have a tendency to fight human complacency in terms of sweeping things under the rug, and we'll never do that here. But it's a tribute to our players. Our players, their mindset, their attitudes, the way they prepare throughout the course of a week, their preparation on game day, all that. You wouldn't do that if we didn't have great competitive character in our football program. But obviously you're in the profession to help young adults and to grow and mentor them and see them mature, and you're also measured by wins and losses. So, that's what the game's about, is about winning the football games.